6:32 on the call to order the Board of Aldermen regular meeting for Monday, May 15th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Alderman Cox.
Present.
Alderman Hudson. Alderman Wilkins. Alderman Deckard.
Yep.
Alderman Rogers. Alderman Magley.
Yeah.
I will make a note before we do the Pledge of Allegiance that we'll move through the agenda as far as we can until we have our fourth alder person here. And when that happens, we'll move on, which would be section 7, I guess. Action. Agenda. No, 5, excuse me, that's 5, absolutely. Okay, so the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That moves us to item 4, comments from citizens. Do we have any comments tonight from citizens?
I just have one question.
Okay.
Have we done anything with the RFP, RFQ, whatever it is, for garbage and recycling?
No,
Okay.
we're gonna be working on that bid, or that RFQ and the asphalt, bids this week or next.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from citizens? Come on up.
Well, since the whole board's not here, I'll just postpone what I got to say, but, what's your protocol now? Do you want stuff in writing before it's presented, or do you just want me to blast, or?
Which is opportunity for comments from citizens.
Well, I'm just telling you, I know how would you characterize my relationship with the city of Centralia?
Oh, I don't know. Amicable. Yeah, so if you want to start, Art, you can post your name, and you're welcome to start. Just put address, name, we gotta take that for.
I've got stuff I want to introduce into the city. So Art Dollins, 230 South Rollins, Centralia, Missouri. And, I haven't been in this board very much. I haven't been in any city government stuff for several years. And I just took it up at the school about going to my class reunion. And I'm gonna take it up to the city about accessing city property too, because I got kicked off out of the rec center by a former school employee, and I'm not putting up with it anymore. And anytime I try to address it with anybody, I haven't tried certified letters or a lawyer, but I get a lot of blah, 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 and no action.
Let me ask a question, what you're talking about there as far as the city property, it sounds like you're talking about.
I'm like parks and recs and rec center,
Right,
which I was
that's
probably
what-
the most, I probably attended it more than anybody until I got kicked out.
So my question is, have you brought this to their attention and?
Mike came right before he died, and if I knew he was gonna die, he said, just come ask what he said, and then I felt bad about
No, I understand.
talking to him. But I got other issues too, and I've talked to everybody about it, but I never get any. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything, all I'm saying is I've had a stressed relationship with this community before I even knew it.
Right. Well, gotcha.
There he is.
I can take it up, and then I can even get all that question about introducing in writing, because a lot of this stuff is not gonna sit well.
I would, if you would, it would be good for you to put it in writing if you want to and propose it to us, and we'll share it amongst the
I need
aldermen.
to go into the record around here, because I'm just telling everybody straight up. People buying houses in Columbia from out of state, they pulled up something last day or two, where the Columbia, Missouri is supposed to be one of the #1 places in the country to move right now. And that's coming from the billionaire crowd out south. So if you all think that comment about the school not growing was just an idle blah blah citizen the other night, that elementary school's been a bottleneck ever since I've been here. I had kids over there, 4 kids. I gave what I thought was a pretty good solution to it, because I was gonna tell you something. If you had that lot area and a vacant lot popped up beside the school, wouldn't a conscientious board bought that lot just for parking for events?
Yeah, if they're aware, they would consider it. Let me put it, I can't speak for the school board, but they would consider it, I would think, if it's property
Well, if
adjacent to
they've
the
been on their
property.
toes, they'd grab it right up and just for school events, right?
Potentially, yes.
So, yeah, just to get the people off the streets, so that there's not congestion, it's just a common sense look at the area. And when you grow, what's gonna happen? And like I said the other night, more people can, Flexi-Town can drive their kids to school in the morning, that's just a fact, out of the pandemic, fact.
Yeah, I thought that was a point that I hadn't really considered, but it made a lot of sense.
That's just true, but that's the rest of it, but here's what I would tell you too. I love to make smart contributions that get ignored and rub it in faces for decades. Got a pretty good history doing it. So I'll give you the stuff in writing, you're all not gonna like it, but the very person that I want to talk to is not here tonight, so just, take it where you want. Everybody knows my relationship with this community, and everybody knows who I am that knows me and says, well, it ain't changed much, has it? So I won't take any more time, my
Thank you for your comments, and if you want to get that to us, I'd appreciate it.
all right, some of the stuff you all down here coming out here is right on good stuff. Because it's the same crew that I've been fighting forever, still trying to leech off of me, and they don't even live in town. Same crew.
Okay, gotcha. Any other comments from citizens?
We're glad to have you. We don't know.
And note that Alderman Rogers now is in, and we have now enough for quorum.
What to
Thank you,
do?
sir.
What to do, pledge of allegiance?
No. We already done
We
it.
did it for you.
We did it for you.
Yeah.
We did it twice. That moves us to the item 5, consent agenda. I would accept a motion to approve A, B, C, D, E, and F as one. A, Board of Aldermen meeting minutes, Public Works and Utilities is B, General Government Public Safety Committee meeting minutes is C, Collector's Report is D, Treasurer's Report is E, and the Activities Report is F. All those are in your packet and were provided to us prior electronically, and that's where we stand on that.
I move we approve the consent agenda, items A through F.
Second.
Have first and second to approve the consent agenda A through F. All in favor? All opposed? Passes. Consent agenda passes on 5. That moves us to 6, accounts payable over $1,250. I'd entertain a motion if you'll have a chance to look at that. It's been provided. This is May 8, 2023. Grand total of $871,891.93. I was asked the other day about the Missouri State Highway Patrol vehicles that we were getting for the police department. And that number's in here, and it's $55,300, just to make sure that that's known. And those are 2 Tahoes that the Highway Patrol had.
So we have our new vac truck now.
We did.
Is the vacuum truck, was that full price, or was that a half payment there?
That is the total price. Yep.
That was used too, wasn't it, or was that new?
It was used.
It was used.
Yeah, it is.
I move that we accept the accounts payable over $1,250 in the amount of $871,891.93.
Second.
First and second, that the accounts payable of $1,250 equaling $871,891.93 be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Accounts payable passes. That moves us to action agenda. That moves us to Centralia wastewater system improvements change. A, under legal order number 3, change order number 3. You want to bring us up to a reminder on what that is?
For the change order?
Yeah.
I believe that was, sorry, hang on just a second. It's just extending, is it Schmidt's?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
Schmidt.
it's extending Schmidt's, contract.
Contract. Yeah.
Because they haven't finished the work yet, so it just needs to be extended. It's no cost change.
Right.
It's just extending it so
Just
they can
in the
finish the
deadline
work.
for finished
We
work.
haven't got, but it's been delayed in getting the equipment, right?
It has been.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah. I move we approve change order number 3 of the Centralia wastewater system improvements.
Second.
Have a first and second to approve the Centralia wastewater system improvements change order number 3. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. That moves us to item B, bill number
2513.
2513. So I entertain it's legal RV parking. Anything that we need to discuss about that?
You all asked me to review it. Did you just want me to provide an evaluation or my review?
Will this keep you from being able to park on the city streets or
Right
Right.
away.
right away?
Well, on our easement, so an easement, if it's, so when you say right of way, I hate to say this, all public streets are technically the right of way of the city. Like when you're driving out and around here in the square, that's a right of way. But this prevents you from parking or obstructing the first part. On the sidewalk or an easement, that's what the addition is. So including easements of the city, whether it be a utility easement or an easement where we haven't yet perhaps put a sidewalk, but it's been marked as a city easement for sidewalk ingress and egress. So the first part of this is a general, you cannot obstruct this. It's called, I would call it a safety portion. A is the general parking safety. You can't park in a way that would make it dangerous for other drivers to operate their vehicle on our city roads by either parking on, park in a city street, alley, public place, sidewalk, or easement, if that doing so is going to obstruct and make the flow of traffic dangerous. That's what Part A describes.
So would, if there was a camper parked in front of the house, and you couldn't see around it, would that count?
Yes, that's correct. So, yeah, I mean, if you're, I mean, this is, I mean, and Chief may be able to join in on this, but this is general public safety. In other words, this is the general, I guess, practice of a city, to craft ordinances to make sure that, there is not a dangerous situation. Law enforcement can go out, and if you, again, are, obstructing the right of way, creating a dangerous situation, that is what E covers. What B covers is more of what I'll call a 72-hour parking restriction within the city. So unless we have signed it otherwise, basically a no parking, or you must move within 24 hours, or only parallel parking here, or what else the city might put in terms of restriction on parking. The next piece basically says that you have to move your vehicle within 72 hours. Basically, you have to move it within, 72 hours, even if it's parked in front of your house. And you can't leave it longer than 72 hours on street, alley, public place, sidewalk, or easement. If doing so, again, you haven't moved it in 72 hours, it's considered abandoned. So, and you have to meet the 4 conditions that's outlined in the ordinance. So if somebody were to park their RV in front of their house and it doesn't move within 72 hours or every 72 hours, technically police can ticket it because it could be considered abandoned.
Even if it's a pull-type RV?
Yep.
Okay. So you could put a big cover on it, and let it sit there for
Nope.
months?
Are you gonna list specifically RVs?
Well, it doesn't necessarily, it talks about, so chief, to this point, it says the owner of having any vehicle. So, I mean, I think an RV specifically fits. The concern is like a pull behind. Is a pull behind, on a third wheel, a trailer like that considered a vehicle? The answer is probably no.
I was gonna say, is there gonna be a definition for vehicle? Because
No, I mean, well, there is under statute. So like, if you take a look at the model traffic code where this was originally pulled from, vehicle is defined. I do not think that, like a pull behind would be considered a vehicle. If it's a large trailer, hauling your backhoe, for instance, parked out in front of the house, that's not a vehicle. I mean, a vehicle has to be independently operable. I didn't pull that directly from the statute, but there's a definition for it. I had talked to Tara about this because, what's gonna really happen in terms of what I think the board's concern might be is how far do I have to move it, right? You're gonna have somebody that moves that thing an inch, and Chief probably knows this, they're gonna move it an inch. And they're gonna say, well, I moved it. Doesn't say how far, I moved it. And I guarantee you that's gonna be the argument, would you not disagree?
there'll be somebody that does it.
So the next question becomes is, should the city look at a more comprehensive, semi-trucks, RVs, big, long trailers that might be hauling backhoes or trackhoes, other types of trailers, pull-behind trailers, things of that nature. Should the board put together and look at how should we handle those in general? Should we look at a possible city commuter parking lot for large vehicles? Many cities are migrating to commuter lots to allow semi-truck drivers and other vehicles to park in these places. There's no liability on the city, you sign it and you post it, but a place for people to park vehicles like this. Is this something that maybe the board wants to consider as a whole? Bring in a couple citizens to talk about it as well and kind of figure out a longer term approach. But right now, I mean, this would technically prevent somebody from parking an RV in front of their house that left it there for more than 72 hours. But as I point out, anybody that watches this and if the paper publishes it, they're gonna say if you move it an inch, is that enough? I mean, it's just, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, I'm putting it out there as plain as can be.
So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna enforce this? Sounding like land in here, but you kinda said that you can do this, we need to do this and do this. It sounds like it's gonna be a difficult thing to do.
No, first part didn't. The A portion isn't. It's very clear. If that vehicle is obstructing the flow of traffic, creating a dangerous situation, creating a dangerous driving condition in any way, shape, or form, A covers that.
But as a general rule, I don't think the ones that are parked now are creating necessarily a hazardous situation. They're just a large, ugly nuisance, and sometimes people are living in them. So, I mean, that's,
Well,
there's a
for
couple
one thing,
different
I mean,
issues here.
For one thing, they shouldn't be able to live in them because we have occupancy permits. We have requirements for what it looks like to actually occupy a residence. And if they do not have an occupancy permit, then clearly they cannot live in that structure because guess what? They don't have an occupancy permit. So we have the ability to enforce that. They can't live in it. They don't have an occupancy permit.
Well, a good example would, in front of the Christian church there for a long time, wasn't there, it still might be there.
It's still there.
What is that considered? Because me, that's a nuisance. Is that considered a ticketed item?
Is it, I don't know what it
Well, if we're
is.
changing it
It's
to,
it's like a long camper trail.
But it's not an RV.
Well, I mean, the question is it a vehicle?
It's not motorized.
No, it's a pull behind.
It's a pull behind, but you
In
said,
my opinion here, there's a second part to this, and we've kind of talked about this in the past, is does the board have the stomach are they ready for the blowback that's gonna come from towing someone's trailer off to somewhere? I mean, that's the second, at least the second component that's gonna be coming to this. Well, are you prepared to accept or to argue why we're doing what we're doing?
I think if-
And that's just as real as the other.
I think we have to have the stomach for it if we're gonna clean the town up and expect people to have their stuff in order and.
And I don't think there should be any trailer unhooked on the side of the road in front of your house.
Yeah, and this would not
I
cover
mean, if
that.
somebody blows through there and hits it, who's reliable for it?
Well, the property owner, I'm not, whoever parked it, I mean, the city is not going to in this case. I mean,
So I
they've
think
not created a
we can
dangerous
just
situation.
create an ordinance independent for vehicles like that.
That's what I was asking,
Yeah.
does the board want to put together maybe a citizens task force so everybody kind of gets input? Because cities of this size tend to also see a lot of semi-truck drivers that can't pull their big semi-trucks that are doing over-the-road trucking into their driveways, so you'll get a lot of semi-trucks that are parked out there. You know, how did you want to handle that?
That's
or-
what,
That's
that
already
was,
designated
that,
on
we
railroad
designated
street.
railroad
They already
street
did-
for
we've done that.
semi-parking.
Okay, so you've got semi-parking if that's not the problem, but the next way, okay, so if somebody has a pop-up taco stand, I'm sorry for lack of a better term, so that, the pop-up taco stand trailer parks out in front of their house for a couple weeks if they don't have an event, is that what you're wanting to address? Do you wanna allow those type of things to park where you're parking
No, I don't think we, I don't, not in the,
Not in the
especially not the
street.
front, in the street side,
It
because
needs to be parked in a driveway.
people live in neighborhoods and don't wanna look at a taco
Yeah.
truck.
But part of the issue is we're not really talking about the street, we're talking about the 5 or 6 feet right off of the edge of the road.
right of way,
Isn't that
there
what we're
should be
talking
a
about
sidewalk or
on
something.
quite a few of these?
Yeah.
Most of them, a lot of them.
Yeah, so, and then we've also got a couple parked up next to houses that have people staying in them occasionally, or a lot of the time, so I mean,
That's the occupancy thing.
That's the occupancy permit.
right, and
That's
so,
another ordinance that they're in violation of.
That's what I
If
mean.
they're living in it, that's a violation.
What we need to do is make this, it sounds like, that's what you're trying to do with Part A, Part B, looking this thing over, make it really
Well,
clear.
This is very tight to vehicles, so if you're wanting it to expand to RVs, pull behind trailers, trailers of a certain weight, I mean, there's all sorts of things that this board can give direction on what exactly you want to put in there. We would need to add it. Right now, it just covers vehicles. So, if it's not a vehicle as defined by statute, then we need to add more to it, because really all law enforcement needs to do right now is just, is it a vehicle? mean,
I think it should be a standalone ordinance, really,
And it can be, absolutely.
so.
So we would be okay with this portion of it, but we would be adding to it.
just amend it.
No, we need to be
We have
a
It might be
separate,
another,
a different ordinance.
but I mean, it needs
Yes.
to be, because there shouldn't be RVs, trailers parked.
And that's just what I need guidance, and I think Tara does too, is exactly what type of things, right? Things, RVs, taco trucks, or trailers, or think a lot, what is exactly do you want it covered? Are there certain things you're okay with, like, is a camper on the back of a truck, you know, is that okay, or is it considered a camper, is it I mean, just some
I never seen a
guidance.
vehicle parked in a road and a long camper parked on the side of the street for 9 months. 'Cause it look, I mean,
I think a camper attached to an F-150, like you can, number one, there aren't that many of those anymore, but number two, that's mobile. That
That'd
could
be an
moved.
RV.
What's that?
That'd be considered an RV because it's mobile.
That's in a vehicle, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's, but I think what you're saying is, do you want that parked next to the house? I mean, I don't know.
I would just like some.
Maybe you
guidance.
add in footage, you know, I don't know, whatever.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, a number of years ago, there was an ordinance put in place about parking trailers in people's front yards. It was when Dick Ward was on the board.
You can't park anything, you can't park a vehicle or a trailer in the front yard.
Well,
You
you know,
can't motor a vehicle on the grass. Not supposed to.
I understand that, but
So,
like
but-
everybody knows all over town, that's still not being
But back to this
enforced.
trailers. I think we want to have a draft of something, Sydney, that would encompass commercial or non-commercial trailers of all kinds.
yes.
Have both those in there, where it becomes pretty simple, it covers pretty much 98% of everything. And something pretty comprehensive enough to allow, you know, and Sandy could probably give us some input as well, you guys could a little bit, and give us some, you know, give us a couple of weeks here to give you feedback to, as you're looking to see what other towns have that would be more restrictive or more specialized with these trailers along the roads and
I don't have a problem with somebody parking the trailer there for 72 hours.
Well, I don't have any, here's the thing,
That's-
I don't
I
have a
think
problem with
that's-
somebody coming down to visit, and that they're gonna get because people are gonna come in town to visit. In a regular RV that's got licensed and they're not living in it, they are living in it for the summer, but they paid $150,000, $200,000 for it, and, I mean, we don't wanna take that away from people coming in for events, that kind of thing,
Right. Yeah.
around. And I think almost, I hate to add extra steps or hoops, but if my aunt and uncle used to come in from Dothan, Alabama, every summer. They would come through on the way through and on the way back. They had a motorized coach, they knew that they were gonna be staying. They knew when they were gonna be staying. And I'm not sure we shouldn't have some sort of, for those RVs that are being, you know, someone wants a pass to be able to get a permitted pass. That way the police knows that they're legal, that they went over and made us aware in the city, that you got a permit. It's a little extra work, but at the same time, it gives you something so you don't have a permit.
We could put that in the window.
And so then when you have somebody that's saying, oh, we're just traveling across the country, we're visiting friends, well, who? Well, just all the friends in this neighborhood. You get that too, I mean, that's what you're gonna run into, right? So at least they'd have to come up here and register for a permit for one of those who wants to come in town and visit, an out-of-town visitor. Or, you know, residents or out-of-town visitors.
And that doesn't happen that often,
Well, it happens more than you think.
does it?
Sure, I've had,
For over a 72-hour period?
5 days. I've had people in town on a couple of occasions, walking down and being around, right there in my neighborhood, down at the corner. They're parked right on that corner around that thing, I don't know, last summer, I think it was. That was, you know, that's where we had the ability to tell them that's an unsafe, it's an obstacle, and it's blocking a view, that you need to move it somewhere else down the street, where it's not blocking the mail and whatever it may be, but you don't park it on a curb in a subdivision, it's a drive-through subdivision, right? So,
We could try it.
well, I don't think it's try, I think we wanna have something in place that's pretty black and white and enforceable for you guys, right? On your side.
Yep.
That's probably the most frustrating thing you deal with.
That's what I'm saying, I think when you're, with respect to the RV, or these types of vehicles need to be standalone ordinance.
It sounds like
That'd be
there's
right.
2 ordinances here. You're gonna have an ordinance that would prevent the trailers, the RVs, those things that are on the road, the commercial, non-commercial, and then a second one about temporary RV parking where they would require a permit for a certain price, and they would probably have to come up and fill out an application up here at City Hall. You guys are gonna need to, again, I can give some samples, but I'll need some direction. How many times can they renew that? You know, that sort of thing. Cost, how much do you want to charge for this temporary parking permit? you know, does law enforcement have to go out and put like a sticker in their window, or, you know, I'm gonna need some direction,
Well,
and I
I
can
would-
provide some samples.
I would say we have to provide, just like you go to, if you go to a state park and you pay for parking, or you go to a condo village, they give you the thing and it's dated, and you paid for that, and it starts here and it ends here, and it's easy for you to look through the window. If they don't have it get displayed, then they're not legal at that point.
The other thing you need to think about is, because it's definitely going to come up, is where are you gonna let them park these RVs on their property? Is that covered somewhere already? I mean, because it doesn't sound like it. There's been discussion with this board, is, are you gonna make them pour gravel, or pour pad, or not allow it? What are you gonna do with respect to that?
You don't wanna take away the right for somebody to own something that would be a recreation vehicle, but there could be some expectations that would have to be in the back corners of the house and back, or something. We could think about that one. I think that you don't wanna.
Some lots are pretty small.
Right.
I mean, they need to make similar accommodations to get them off the street.
There's areas here in town,
There's-
there's
I mean, like-
RV parking here in town, I mean, storage lots over there, I mean, some over there, I mean, I've seen RVs, that's where the last fire was, or one up there. So there's places to park.
And Bryce Gibber's got storage out there for RVs
Right.
and stuff like that too.
Well, and they can park in the trailer park out there too, can't they?
That's probably.
Not that I would want
I
to,
don't
but.
know. I don't know about that.
Yeah. He's probably gonna be coming up here to visit for a special administrative hearing, that budget, so. A lot, we wanna make progress.
Yeah.
So you've gotta think some things down, so do you wanna start to work towards this and you're hearing what we're saying? Say, hey, these are gaps I have in this.
Yeah,
I
This
was
is where I need guidance, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at a couple of other cities, not reinvent the wheel, because there's gonna be some
Right.
out there, other places that address this. I'll shoot some suggestions to Tara, and, you know, so that we can have an open you may not get this done per se next month, but I mean, get some guidance and feedback of, okay, this is where I need some guidance and direction, cost, size of the trailers, you know, some other
Yeah.
stuff.
It's been this long, I mean, I think we need to put something together that's enforceable and thorough enough and black and white enough that it's.
Where you
Complaints
want
I've
the
had,
park.
people parking an RV or trailer there, and it's just there for months longer.
Do you guys want to make the change though in the current ordinance as is, even though it's not affecting RVs directly? It does add the addition that if a vehicle or something was parked, including an RV, I mean, if it's a motorized vehicle, this would at least cover it for now, on a sidewalk or an easement, it may give law enforcement a little bit more authority, especially on the safety aspect of A. I mean, I think this, at least a change to this current ordinance, even though it's minor, is helpful.
Yeah,
It doesn't hurt at all. It enhances what we have at this point. As we work through for a more comprehensive, other couple of potential ordinances we need to put in place.
ready for motion?
I didn't change it.
That's okay, somebody's gonna have to note that the effective date needs to change down at the bottom, but that's not gonna impact the passage of it, because nothing else is changed with the effective date, it's Scrivener's error.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what is that notation we need to have?
Down at the bottom, it states that this was passed on April the 17th, so somebody in the motion just needs to say, I need to, I make a motion to read for the first time with the correction that it state in May 15th of 2023 versus April 17th of 2023. We'll change the date down at the bottom.
In place of, yeah. So, bill number 2517, I would entertain
2517? 13.
13, excuse me, I can't get one right. 2513, be given its first reading by title only.
I move that bill number 2513 be given its first reading by title only, and the date at the bottom be corrected to May 15th, 2023.
Second.
The first and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance amending section 18-53 of the Centralia City Code concerning parking on city property. I move that bill number 2513 be given its second reading by title only, and the date be amended to May 15, 2023.
Second.
Have first and second that, the second reading by title only be made with the correction of May 15th versus, April 17th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance amending section 18-53 of the Centralia City Code concerning parking on city property. I move that bill number 2513 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have first and second that bill number 2513 be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Cox,
Yes.
Alderman Deckard,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
4.
Alderman Magley.
Yep.
Bill number 2513 passes. Ordinance number
3169.
that moves us for a motion, the legal land lease agreement addendum 1 for HK Farms, 07/2022. This is one we talked about the other day where they didn't have access to utilize the farm to get any good out of it, and we wanted to extend it for a year, just due to the fact that they didn't have accessibility to use it for what they had leased it for.
I move that we approve the land lease agreement amendment 1 with HK Farms, 07/2022.
Do you authorize the mayor to execute such land lease agreement?
And I authorize the mayor to execute the agreement.
Second.
Have first and second for the mayor to execute an agreement with land lease agreement addendum 1 of HK Farms of 07/2022. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Okay, that moves us to item 8, purchasing. Division sewer line proposals A, talked about the other day, it's to continue our sewer lining projects that we have going on, ongoing, to get all of the lining done in our, caught up in our sewer system.
I move that we approve this sewer line proposal, and the mayor be authorized to sign it.
Second.
The first second for the Visu sewer line proposal. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. That moves us to B, surplus property. We have items surplus property that we just want to be able to have a motion to say that we're making those such.
We need to list
You got it in your packet, there's a
Generator pumps.
couple of, yeah, generator pumps and the trailer mounted unit, that got replaced by the, back truck. And this, old, trash pump, 84 home light trash pump.
I move we declare those properties surplus property.
Second.
I have a first and second to declare the listed items of surplus, property as shown. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. C, this is a purchase of the, lime slaker. This would be for the, unit to replace the one that's not worked, it's never been, commissioned. I think everybody's up to speed on that situation, we need to get that ordered. We're just now at the point that we can, we've been given approval to do that. With paperwork to follow. We never got paperwork yet, right, from DNR?
I haven't seen.
We haven't gotten the official paperwork.
But they
yet,
said,
but
in
they said-
letterhead, and they sent to us in letterhead that, they were approving it and the paperwork would follow, that they're okay with us doing it.
So this is the one that this is the one.
Kimco, right?
Yeah.
Kimco unit, yep, Kimco
The
unit.
dream machine, so, and it's, any chance the lead time on this, is anybody got any?
50, probably 52 weeks, a year.
52 weeks.
After after approved, submittal drawings, submittals of drawings. And then it has to be installed. So it's not a stretch to, as we were talking the other day, it's not a stretch to be 18 months before.
Yeah.
It's up and functional by the time
It's
it's
taken us a year to get to this point.
You want the honor?
Go ahead.
Oh, you're
Go
on
ahead.
roll,
You
go
were
on,
there.
go on, just don't mess it up. Just, we're gonna get this on over. You're doing fine.
Price is $149,500.
I move we approve the motion to purchase the Kimco line slaker at a price of $149,500. And the mayor be authorized to sign it.
Second.
That first, second of purchase of the line slaker with the mayor to approval to sign it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, passes. That's nice to get that
Never
done.
been so happy to spend that much money in my life.
Purchase, no kidding.
Greatest.
Purchases of, 2 utility trucks, is item D.
We'll go with Jim Butler.
Yep. That's who it is, Brian Local from Jim Butler.
I move that we purchase 2 utility trucks from Jim Butler Chevrolet at a cost of $49,995.
Second.
I have first and second to purchase the 2 utility, trucks, locally from Jim Butler's bid. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, passes.
Sir, is that 45K each or two?
$49,995 per truck.
49.
49.
Thank you.
Are they in stock? Or is it gonna take us 3 years to get these pickups?
It will not take that long to get them.
Yeah, trucks and pickups, it could make it.
These 2 trucks, I believe, the style that they were, the reason why I had to go with these is so that we can get them in this year, like possibly within 6 weeks. If I remember correctly.
Yeah. That's, you're right, you're right. That's
Okay.
All right. Just, old business. We have, under 9, discussion pandemic health emergency ended May 11th, 2023. Any discussion about it?
I believe we talked about this in March, and you guys wanted to talk about it to, if it actually did end, if you wanted to talk about it after it ended, to see how you wanted to continue with our pandemic flu leave.
Yeah, I think we were ready to, if I remember correctly, we were ready to be done.
Yeah.
with the flu.
Yeah. Yeah, move on.
I mean, the pandemic's over. I mean, we don't have to color code the children and have contact free at the schools either. Get that out of the building.
I bet that's gonna happen.
Well, I bet it does. Bet you
New
they-
colors next year.
Well, they can do whatever they want, but they're not gonna block the damn street. Put that on a video. Right there it is. That's dangerous. Too much danger over some kid getting hit right in and out. The mayor almost run over one of them. That guy's on a golf cart and was paying attention. That moves us to new business. So, discussion under the old business, then, do I need to entertain a motion or we'll put that on the next meeting? Can we've talked about the pandemic health emergency, we want to talk about it yet. Can I entertain a motion tonight to get rid of the flu leave and go back to normal?
I mean,
The special,
yeah, you guys can vote because it's on there. If you would like to vote to terminate the pandemic or the special flu leave, you guys can do that tonight. Yes, that was up for discussion. You guys can make a vote if it's just by motion.
so I would accept the motion to go back to normal because of the emergency flu act,
I make a motion that we
pandemic health
end the
emergency.
pandemic and go back to normal.
Second.
First and second to,
We'll be on CNN on that deal.
you're all referencing the flu leave, correct? Flu leave, pandemic flu.
Whatever we had
Yes,
set
yes,
for the
that's
pandemic.
what
The flu policies.
Whatever we had set for the
Specifically, this
pandemic.
is about the flu policy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's,
So I have a first and second to,
I think they called it the COVID-19
yeah, the COVID-19, whatever strains out
That's what
from
it's
then to now.
COVID leave.
So I have a first or second to forego the crisis, COVID, flu relief, and go back to normal. Have a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're back to normal when it comes to leave. Flu. That moves us to new business. Item 10, discussion task force for RV large truck parking.
It sounds like you guys kind of pretty much hashed that out. You guys
Yeah.
want a couple ordinances to evaluate and
Yeah.
we're gonna move forward from there.
That way you can bring us a draft that's 75% or 80% there, and we can kind of help fill in the blanks for you to polish it up and make it what it needs to be, I think.
Where are we at on our list of houses to be talked about, properties around town?
We've got a list of at least 7 right now, and they're all on there. The one you talked about is on there.
Over on Barnes and,
Didn't we have a problem getting somebody to come in here and do the,
That's the
That's-
problem.
that's our
We've gotta have a whole, it's a hearing. So it's an administrative hearing, so it's a legal proceeding with, and you guys know how that goes. So the problem is we have to get someone to come in, you have to have a court reporter.
You have to have, so I think city attorney just ever so slightly lost, I apologize. Do you guys have somebody that was sent notice about a dangerous property?
We're wanting to,
we're wanting to do the same thing we did last time.
remember?
So yeah, you're gonna, yeah, so if that's what we're gonna do, the best thing is just to try to get a couple properties all together at once. Those people that don't respond would have to get you have to get basically an administrative law judge or a judge up here in each party. Like we had last time, we had Randall Thompson, who's the city attorney from Moberly, come up and act as that.
Then we'll
I
do
act
that
as the
again.
prosecutor. They have the ability to present evidence. You have a court reporter. It's usually just one night. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, try to.
And I think we had 4 on the agenda, I would say that we'd have 4. And then after we do those 4, and there's 30 days to rule in those, typically, correct?
Right, so Randall or the hearing officer, whoever you all select, yes, has time to draft that order and then provide it to them, and then they have a certain amount of time to respond and or file a complaint in circuit court.
So if we do the 4 that we got on the list, then we would send the letter to the other 4, but at that point, they would realize that we're serious about doing it again, and we get better. People understand that they're gonna have to come up here once it happens and it starts happening, so.
Was that house on Barnes, are they on the top of the 4?
They're probably not, because it's
Because they're
probably,
living in that house,
I understand they are.
and there's nothing covering none of the windows. The grass is 12 inches tall.
And I'm sure they've already got a notice, I'm sure. I try to catch Sandy on that stuff, and she don't miss none of them. I'm 0 for 30 here lately. I try to ask her about something, we can double check and ask, that's not a
send in
problem.
lots of weed ordinances.
But they do have people, it doesn't look, but for us to make a determination, somebody living in there, it becomes more difficult when a place is occupied,
Correct, it does.
much farther, because the person has a right to shelter in a home, and so it becomes much more difficult. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be a welfare check potentially called in. And we as the city could have a concern, it could be the city that does it, have a concern about the well-being of those people living in there in the living circumstances.
I was like, are they elderly people?
I don't know who lives it. But the
Yeah.
back half of her house, there's no windows, they had tie back up, and the storms and winds have ripped them open, you can see clear through the whole house.
So, I mean, there's some ways for us to look into having someone go in and check on welfare and make sure they're in a safe living circumstance. And that the county can do that. I like to defer to the county on that, because that's what they're there for. That's what we as taxpayers pay the county for that service. And then they're able to potentially, if a person needs to be removed out of a bad environment, they have the services and the programs and the things to help guide that potentially if there is a need for transition. Did you follow what I'm saying? And that's happened a couple other times in other places in town.
I mean, there's been a lot of complaints over in that neighborhood about the house.
Understood. Yeah, I understand. We've drove by and seen it. There's just a lot, we've got a few of them, but yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of where we're at, on that.
Mayor, do I need to get with Tara? Is there a couple you are wanting to go ahead and start scheduling these hearings for? Is that what I'm hearing? Do we need to get that moving forward?
Yes, we do. We want to work on that, because it'll take us 2 months to get everything coordinated, probably to do that. So we have some that she has forwarded us, potential dangerous, she being Sandy. And we'll cross-reference that with her, I will tomorrow, and we'll send you what that looks like with pictures. So you have that for your own identification of which ones they are, what they look like, kind of, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I will stand in the shoes of the prosecutor and remind the board, I mean, you guys are a neutral arbiter, you act as a jury, you need to keep an open mind, no prejudgment. I have to give the prejudgments, you have to hear all the evidence from every, every party that is presenting evidence. So I would ask that if this, don't contact any potential witnesses. Now Sandy will provide me with information from law enforcement and any other information, and I will work directly with them. And like I said, I just ask the board to please just keep an open mind, don't contact landowners, and we'll move forward.
We want to be fair and equitable in anything we do, that's why I recuse myself. I could sit in on it and do it, but I don't, because the fact is, I want to be in a gray area that it's a fair process. It absolutely needs to be for anybody that owns a home or property owners, and especially when you start talking about it, it changes, the level really changes a lot when the dwelling's being occupied by somebody. So thank you for that. It's good discussion. I agree, Landon. We gotta be making sure that everybody's safe and healthy as well, and that the city is meeting the needs of everybody, and that's property owners on every side of everything and around other properties. So, yep. All right, Mayor, that moves me to A, appointments. I would entertain a motion to appoint Don Mormon to a 2-year term for Planning and Zoning Commission to finish Don Bagley's term, and do that one first, is what we do. So I'd entertain a motion to be able to do that. But the caveat I'll also say for that is we're looking at another position there that's gonna need to be filled potentially in the future. I've reached out and haven't had that conversation we talked about with one of those board members, but and then we'll go from there. I think I understand pretty clearly that that's not an option that will have to happen, so. I would entertain a motion to be able to appoint.
I move we authorize the mayor to appoint Don Mormon to a 2-year term for the Planning and Zoning Commission to finish Don Bagley's term.
Second.
Have a first and a second for Don Mormon to a 2-year term for Planning and Zoning Commission to finish out Don Bagley's term. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Don, on the board. Appointment. This appointment would be for the Cemetery Advisory Committee. It would be appoint Jan Hollis and Vicki Simmons for 3-year terms on the Cemetery Advisory Committee. Entertain a motion to do such.
I move we authorize the mayor to appoint Jan Hollis and Vicki Simmons for 3-year terms on the Cemetery Advisory Committee.
Second.
Have a first and a second to appoint Jan Hollis and Vicki Simmons for 3-year terms on the Cemetery Advisory Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. You're appointed. City Administrator, number 12.
Reports in the packet, pretty busy month. If you have any questions, let me know.
How's the MPUA, how's that working out with the Honor Department?
It's really working great. The guys have said that they have already learned a lot, making some changes on a few things, and it's really going good. It's definitely going to be, as much of a negative as this was, why we're in this position, is definitely still, it's going to benefit our electric crew a lot to have those guys here. They are going to kind of, if there's a time when the supervisor can't be here, there's a journeyman employed by MPUA, they may switch off a little bit. But for the most part, the supervisor will be here. But we were assured by the program director that both of them can handle the supervisor duty and directing the crew on what needs to be done.
So, any questions? Moves to item 13, City Attorney.
I will be providing some litigation updates in closed session. So, and then obviously we're working towards the dangerous building hearings and coordinating, I guess, with Tara and with the police department on what that looks like to get that moving forward, and obviously providing you guys a couple ordinance options on the RV situation. So that's what I will be working on the next couple of months.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you for your help. That moves to City Clerk.
Just a couple of things, got elected officials training coming up soon. Working still we still have several, open positions that we're advertising for, police department, of course, electric, a couple in city hall that will be coming up, so working on trying to get some staffing.
Thank you. All right. That moves us to, closed session. I would entertain, a motion, to, vote us to go into closed session. Be read into closed session.
I move that we go into closed session. During the meeting, the Board of Aldermen may elect to go into closed session, hold a closed vote. The purpose of such closed session, closed vote shall be, one, as provided under section 610.012, one of the revised statutes of Missouri for legal actions, causes of action or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorneys. Two, as provided for under section 610.021(3) of the revised statutes of Missouri for hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting particular employees by a public governmental body.
All right. So, they need a vote? I need a second.
Second.
A second. Vote, please, roll call, please.
Alderman Cox,
Yes.
Alderman Decker,
Four.
Alderman Rogers,
Four.
Alderman Matley.
Yeah.
All right, that passes. We will move into closed session. We have returned from closed session. The motion to go back to, open session was the only vote taken. And we discussed, items 1 and 2 as stated previous to going into closed session. As may arise. With that being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
First and second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There we go.